Hi, it's Mark Rushton of markrushton.com. It is Saturday, December 19th, 2020. And just got back from Des Moines, a quick day trip over there. We went to go see my parents for Christmas. Had Christmas a little early just because of the weather. Drove over because, well, they're 87. My dad doesn't really drive anymore. And my mom, it's a lot for somebody. And so we went over there and had a bit of food, watched the two Iowa teams lose. Iowa basketball lost to Gonzaga, but then Gonzaga's number one, so 99-88. And then Iowa State was losing the Big 12 championship to something, whatever. Yeah, they made it that far. Good for them. I'm not really into the sports ball anymore, but oh well, they tried. Oh, man. I'll tell you what, though. Yeah, I drove back. So I'm a little fried, but I'm doing okay. I'll recover tomorrow. And so what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about why you should pay attention to successful playlists. Get the water out of the way here. And just right off the bat, I'll tell you something I did the other day here, and I did it in Pandora. And, oh my God, something is in my eye. Woo! Bad timing. So what I did, I've been making playlists of my albums, and started off with the field recordings, and I've done most of those. And now I'm starting to work on kind of the toughest ambient, which is not the stuff under my name, but stuff I release under other names. And these are like the long form ambient, or the more experimental, or it kind of doesn't really do a whole lot. And so the goal there is to try to figure out how to sell that stuff, because there is a market for it. There is a market for everything out there. And you have to figure out, no one's looking for you. If you're not a famous musician, no one is looking for you or your name of your album. They're looking for your genre. They're looking for the type of music that you produce. And you have to, even though you have released a single or an EP or an album or whatever, compilation, you have to remarket that in another way. And I think the best way to do it is via the playlist, because if you go on all these sites and you search for something, you're going to see results. You're going to see singles. You're going to see artists. You're going to see playlists. You may also see podcasts too. But podcasts aren't monetized the way that music in playlists or sounds in playlists are. And so that's why you have to remarket it in a different way. I know. It's more work. Nobody wants to work. We don't want to, we just want to release it. And why just give me money? That's not how it works. Oh, if it were only that easy. Why can't the government give me a check for releasing an album? That'd be great. That'd just be fantastic, wouldn't it? But that's not usually how the world works. So if you want people to hear your stuff and get paid eventually, then yeah, you gotta figure out how to take your sounds, take your catalog, and market them in a different way. And that's what I've been doing. That's kind of been my journey here for the last few years. And with the addition of getting into Pandora Amp and getting into Pandora Stories and building playlists that way, that has taught me a lot. And of course, I've been building playlists on Spotify and Apple Music and other services. And I'm nobody, and I'm sharing you what's working for me. What is working for me, because there's no silver bullet. There's no silver. You can't. This idea that you're going to go out there and pay somebody to get you in a playlist, or you're going to pay somebody to, do something a little that's going to get you kicked off your distributor. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'd rather you do nothing than do that. That's sad and lame and fraud. So what'd you do? Rushton? So in Pandora, and I've also done this on Spotify as well, I made playlists for these albums that I release under the name Aleodiology. And Aleodiology is sort of my, I would say it's more avant-garde, but typically the pieces are typically longer than average. Sometimes they're like 7, 11, 13 minutes. There's some shorter pieces in there. But the thing about Aleodiology is that it's a thing that's just stretched out to a certain limit. There's usually not too much variation there. It's finding that sound or that collection, that piece of music that works, and then however long I want to listen to it is how long it is. And so I've been making these albums this year, and releasing them, and it takes a while to get going. It takes a while to get people to listen to them, and you just release the album and no one cares. How many albums are released every day? Thousands. But the critics know what the best album of the year is. An instant classic. We heard all the albums, and this one's the best. Well, it may work that way in certain circles, but you as a struggling musician, as somebody who releases stuff, you got to ignore that. So anyway, Aleodiology, I made playlists of the albums in Pandora, and I made playlists of the albums in Spotify, and then also in Pandora. I use the album graphics, but then what I do is I title them slightly differently. I use certain keywords in the title prior to the name of the album or a edited version of the name of the album. And sometimes the name Aleodiology doesn't even appear in the title, because who cares? It'll be in the description. And of course, you can see what the tracks are. But people aren't looking for Aleodiology. They aren't looking for that album. They're looking for a certain kind of music. And if you describe that kind of music in a succinct way, or it is part of the title, or it is part of the description, or you go off on a tangent in the description, that helps. That helps, because I did this just the other day, and I've already got numerous people listening to these albums on Pandora as playlists. And one of them had average listening time of 34 minutes. Somebody listened to nearly the whole album. And that just in the last 2 days here. Amazing. And the other albums, 4 of the 5 albums have plays, have listens. And I think all of them have multiple people listening to them, and good listening times. I consider anything an average listening time of over 7 or 10 minutes. I consider that to be a win. Yeah, anything over 7 minutes is a win as far as average listening time. You get up to 15, 20, you're doing great. Half an hour, amazing. Over an hour, unicorn. If you get those unicorns, brilliant. You're on to something. You're doing okay. And of course, the next week it may tumble. There may not be anybody. But again, as I like to say with Pandora, You've got 60 some million active monthly users. The way that interface is, you enter something in that search term, you want to be the top dog in the playlist, and everything else as well too. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And there's nothing funny about it. I mean, I'm not doing anything that's untoward or fraudulent or anything like that. I'm describing it as it is. I'm taking advantage of all 1,000 characters in the description. Pandora gives you up to 1,000 characters, and use it. Get those keywords in there, but write it as a real sentence, or co-opt the language that has already been written, like as a definition somewhere else. It's okay. It's okay if it accurately describes the music. And I'll show you some examples. I'm not going to show you the examples from the Pandora side, but that's got to help. It's got to help. So I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to see that. And of course, the albums that I did of the field recordings they're going great. Yesterday, the stats that I got from Pandora, best I've ever had. And I've been building playlists in there for almost 3 months. And I wish I could tell you my numbers. I wish I could tell you the estimated earnings, but it's good. It works. And so how do you pay attention to successful playlists? And mine are not necessarily, they're fledgling. They're brand new, right? So how do you pay attention to successful playlists? Well, go out and look at them. I'm going to show you some right here, right now. And yes, these are Spotify curated playlists. These are the playlists that are hard to get into, but you should at least try. If you have Spotify for artists, if you're signed up for that as an artist, oh, we got comments. Hold on here. It's lonely. Yes, it is lonely here. I don't mind being lonely. This is a as I like to say, this is a self-motivating video. I do these for me. If anybody else sees them, that's great. Anyway, so what do I do as far as looking at successful playlists? Go out to Spotify and take a look at this one here. It's Floating Through Space. If you're an ambient musician, yeah, it's going to be hard to get into something like this. 352,000 followers. I mean, but if you have Spotify for artists and you release music and you schedule it at a later date, then you can at least try to submit and hopefully maybe get included in these playlists. It is hard. There's a lot of people out there. They do a lot of submission. And as far as I'm here, Spotify is above board as far as curation is concerned. That's the word that I keep hearing, that there's no monkey business, right? But look at this playlist here. Pay attention. What is it called? Floating Through Space. Ambient drone to make you feel weightless. Now, again, Spotify, this is going to be a popular playlist because Spotify curates it and they push it. It's going to be pushed more than Mark Rushton's ambient playlist. It's just the way it is. And look at this, 139 songs. In some circles, if somebody's getting paid to put that in there, or that's a lot of songs. 7 hours and 59 minutes. Obviously, this has certain criteria to it. It's an 8-hour playlist. Most people are not going to listen to this. Some may have this on all day. It's just like, I love that playlist. I'm just going to play that. And it updates every so often, as you can see here. The other thing here that really kind of surprises me is the description, how small it is. Now, I would think that if I was going to build a playlist on Spotify, they give you 300 characters. I would use every single one if I'm building a playlist, just because you need everything to your advantage. The other thing about this that is interesting, look at the times of the tracks. 3.5 minutes, 4, 3.5, around 3 minutes. 1 6-minute track. Everything's between 2.5 and 4 minutes, for the most part. A few long ones here and there. Excuse me here. So if you're submitting if you're submitting a track via Spotify for artists, yeah, maybe you might want to mention, hey, I really think that my track would fit into this particular playlist. I don't think it would hurt. They may not, they have so many playlists. But if you actually listen to it, if you subscribe to it and you listen to it regularly, I think it would fit in here. It couldn't hurt. But then again, you also have to pay attention to the track time. You don't want to submit, oh, I'm going to take that 19-minute track. I think it'd fit in great here. No, it's not. It's not. Look at these album titles too. It's not super long. Radiohead, what's that doing in there? What's interesting though is that some of these tracks have like lowercase. You see that? Like ambient. Can you even use that word? I guess you can. Yugen. It's like the for some of them anyway, the spelling is always kind of weird. Yeah, you get that with electronic music for some reason. Get these artists that have, they've got odd ways of spelling or whatever. Anyway, but that's kind of that's an example there. Be mindful of how long the tracks are. Here's another example, deep focus. And of course, you got a great graphic there. A great, simple graphic with just white text, deep focus. Keep calm and focused with ambient and post-rock music. Post-rock. When was post-rock was barely a thing like 15 years ago. Is that still a thing? Again, all these tracks are shorter. All these tracks are shorter. You want to get into a playlist? Yeah, make it 2-minute and 10-second track. Make it 3 minutes. Edit it down. No one wants to hear your 20-minute epic. A few might. Or I say there's an audience for everything, but much better chance with the shorter track. Deep sleep. Again, 245 tracks in 14 hours. These are all fairly pop song length. All of them. They're all pop song length. 1.2 million followers. Can you imagine getting into this playlist? The money you'd be making. Oh, yes, I know. You've read those articles. Well, if you're on Spotify, you don't get paid anything. Not true. That is not true. If you believe that, then you're not a publishing musician. Or you signed a really lousy deal. That's just the way it is. Then there's other playlists here. and this is one that I occasionally listen to, Exospheres. It's past 100,000 followers. These are, the bigger names. Fripp, Eno, Cocteau Twins, Leafcutter John, Raymond Scott. Yeah. Biosphere. Is it Vangelis? Vangelis? I'm sure there's people complaining about how it should be pronounced. John Hassel. Caitlin, Aurelia Smith. A lot of Sus. Peter Gabriel. Those are more for the names. But look at the tracks here. 7.5 minutes, 6 minutes, 9 minutes, an hour and 1 hour for the Basinski track. Not making much off that track, Basinski. The streaming. 19 minutes. The Fennis track, 12 minutes. 24 minutes. What is this? These are more names. These are more named people, right? So if you're not Brian Eno, you're not Vangelis, you're not the Cocteau Twins, maybe you could be on the playlist with over 1 million people instead. Because who is Soothe My Soul? I don't know. Are they big? How big is Soothe My Soul? Let's take a look here. They got one big track and 76 followers. That's who you want to be. You want to be Soothe My Soul. With that one, see, look at that. They got that one track out there that's done 1 million plays. Interesting. So yeah, I wouldn't mind being on Deep Sleep. That'd be great. So how do you do that? I don't know. I think it's luck of the. I really think it's luck of the draw. Just do your best work. Try to. If you want to target a particular playlist, yeah, get your times. Get your times. But if you want to build playlists like this, of course, curating a playlist like this is not easy. It's not easy work. I mean, there are people out there who have, who build playlists. I know there's a guy that I've been in his playlist a number of times. He has about 8,000 or 9,000 followers. You get a good number of listens from it. And, it's nice of him to curate that sort of stuff. It's not this big of a playlist. It's a few hours long. He updates it every week or whatever. But yeah, take a look at these and build something similarly. Now, on the Pandora side, it's a little bit different because, yeah, you can have a 9 or 14-hour playlist, and you don't necessarily have to update it, but you can also get away with 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. It doesn't have to be this much work, I would say. It doesn't have to be this much work. So that's where I am. That's where I am. I try to look out at the popular playlists and not necessarily what they have as far as artists, but the graphics, the titles, the a little bit of the description. But I would say, if you're crafting your own playlist, use every available description space. In Spotify, it's 300 characters. In Pandora, it's 1,000 characters. In Apple Music, I've crafted descriptions that are over 1,000 characters, and they show up. So I don't know what the limit is on that. But again, I've had a hard time getting any listens on my Apple Music playlists. That's just me. I've only been at it a couple of months, but it's not immediate like Pandora, where Pandora is you make something in a couple of days, you'll probably have some stats from it. Somebody will probably listen to it. That's the amazing thing. All right, I'm at 25 minutes. I love to ramble. I love to talk about this sort of stuff. It's a self-motivating thing. kind of talking about what I do, kind of where I am, because where I am as far as promoting my music, it's kind of what I'm talking about like right now at this time. So, and the numbers are looking good on Pandora. Spotify, I build it, it's out there. That it takes a long time to kind of get that going. But again, I'm getting back into the swing of things, of releasing things into the future, and then trying to get them submitted to Spotify for artists, for maybe get a track included in one of their smaller curated playlists in 2021 would be great. Even something that only has like 3,000 or 5,000 followers. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. So anyway, it's Saturday, and hopefully tomorrow, maybe make a little music with John Harnish as Ambient Matic. We'll see. We got some other things planned. So that's it for the evening, and